Teacher, can you hear us?
Yes, I hear you perfectly. I'm just adjusting my name.
Okay, teacher, thank you for coming again. Apart from the ones my mate
Okay, you're
mentioned,
well. Thanks to you for inviting me.
okay, thank you. Apart from the ones my mate mentioned before, do you have any other evaluation activities? If so, could you please describe us?
Could you repeat the question, please?
Yes, apart from the methods mentioned before, my mate mentioned before, do you have any other evaluation activities? If so, could you please describe us?
Well, yes, of course. I have um, two or three evaluation activities different from the ones that I have just told you. Well, I could say that I use also. Wait a minute, please. Sorry, my dog came into my room. Okay, well, I said that I use I often use an strategy and evaluation strategy that involves summarize something. Okay, can you hear me?
Yes,
Yes,
teacher.
teacher.
Can you hear me?
Yes, teacher.
Okay. I usually apply an strategy that involves summarize something or paraphrase. Okay. I encourage my students to summarize or paraphrase something, and which was really important from our class, like concepts or lessons. Okay. Um, those types of activities encourage our students to develop oral work, okay, visual work or otherwise. Okay, so I ask my students to summarize, to think about, to reflect about what they learned in my class, okay, what they learn, and think and or write maybe to make to write some important facts about what I pretended to teach or what they learned in classes, to summarize something. Another strategy that I used to evaluate is the open questions. Okay, I use a lot of open questions. Well, I call them that way, open questions. Why I call them in that way? Because I pretend to ask my students, I pretend to encourage my students to answer not only using yes, no, yes, no. Okay. And do you like soup? Yes. Do you like spaghetti? No. Okay. So I always use open questions with my students in order to get better answers. Okay. And not only the traditional ones, which are yes and no, yes and no. Okay. So I use close open questions in order to get better results at the moment to answer. Okay, to engage my students to answer in a different way. Okay, so that kind of questions help them to increase their speaking. Okay, because if I just ask during classes, do you like, do you, okay, those type of questions, so you are not going to develop a speaking skill in your students, because these questions are too closed. Okay, they are very close, so they are not going to develop a speaking skill, because they don't have the chance to expand their speaking. So if you aim your questions only to ask to get a result like yes and no, so that's not gonna work. That won't work with your students if you want to develop speaking skills. So you have to apply questions that encourage them to speak more. Okay, and not only the traditional one. Yes, the traditional ones, yes and no. That might be considered as the as other strategies that I use to evaluate. Yes.
Thank you, teacher.
Okay, you're welcome.
Okay, teacher. What are the main objectives that you usually use? I mentioned the option and you tell me if you use it or not. And if you want, you can make an individual explanation one by one, okay? The first, oral communication development. Teacher, are you listening to me?
Yes, Audi. Yes,
Okay,
I'm listening to you. Yes, oral communication development is really important. Yes,
okay.
it's
Writing
it,
is,
it's really. Let me explain you something about the oral communication.
okay,
Really, oral communication involves that our students are going to speak a lot, not only using closed questions. Okay, I mentioned it before. Okay, they need to expand their speaking. Okay, using new vocabulary, so that's why it's important to teach them vocabulary, a lot of vocabulary when they are starting to learn English. Okay, so because they will, if they know vocabulary, if they know a lot of phrases in English phrases, okay, they will be able to use those phrases at the moment to speak. Yes, it's like if you are giving them the necessary resources or tools to speak. Okay, so remember that when you teach something, when you pretend to teach something, please give them, let them know to use or teach them. Start the class by teaching vocabulary for me is the most important aspect during my classes. Okay, if they know vocabulary, they will be able to speak whatever they want. Okay, if they want to speak about the climate, they will have to know what is the meaning of cold, what is the meaning of, I don't know. They will have to know even clothes or vocabulary related, okay, to the
okay,
climate. If they want to learn about I don't know, competitions, they will have to know about cars, they will have to know about extreme sports. Okay, so give them the chance to know about vocabulary first. Okay, if they want to develop, if you want to develop on them, oral communication.
Okay, teacher. Do you usually write in skills development?
Yes, I pretend to teach them or develop writing skill on my students. As I told you before, I use a lot of practical activities like copying a short paragraph. I usually write a paragraph on the board and I ask my or encourage my students to copy the paragraph um, on their notebooks, okay? Instead of using dictation, because dictation is a little bit complicated because your students, some of them won't have the ability or won't be capable to understand everything you are saying to them. So I think the most practical activity will be that you copy a short paragraph on the board and encourage them or ask them to copy it on your notebooks. In that way they are learning new words. Okay, the way how to write those words, and at the moment they are practicing and developing writing. Okay.
Okay, what do you think about reading comprehension skills development? Do you use it?
Yes, I use them a lot. Reading comprehension skills development. The reading comprehension is for me is one of the most important steps in my classes because as I told you before, I already answered it. They are gonna they will have the chance with these activities to develop almost the four basic skills: reading. They will develop speaking as well. Okay, they will develop writing. Okay, so and another abilities, okay, at the moment to read, because remember that if you want to you pretend to teach them reading, okay, you are not you are not going only to teach them reading, because the reading involves also writing. Because I don't know, when you say them, please, Marco, can you help me, or could you help me to read the first line? Yes, Marco is gonna read the first line. He's gonna say, hi, my name is Sofia. I live in Yansasa. I am 9 years old. Okay, so they are very well. They know perfectly what they just read, but in my worksheet, in the worksheet, they will have the chance to write as well. You know why? Because they will have to answer some questions. They will have to complete, they will have the activities like fill in the blanks, okay, complete the gaps. They will have the chance to write as well, okay? They are going to write, not only reading, they are going to write about what they understood or what they got from the reading activity, okay? So the reading comprehension skills are really important for me.
Okay, teacher. Do you use the pronunciation development?
Pronunciation development, yes, of course. Yes, I use I'm always correcting pronunciation, and I think that's one of my one I say I said that that might be considered as my weak point, because I'm always interrupting them when they pronounce um a word in not in a correct way. Okay, I'm always interrupting them when Juanito says instead of saying play, he says play. Okay, so I'm always interrupting them when they pronounce a word, when a word is not pronounced really well. So that could be that I might be I consider that that might be one of my weak point at the moment to teach. But pronunciation development is really important because you, as a students, as you know, if you don't pronounce well, you won't be understood by anyone. You know,
Yes.
if you talk with a native speaker, I have a lot of cases. Well, most of my co-workers and most of my students had a lot of problems when I used to teach at Python English because I used to work there. Um, we well, the whole staff were native speakers, so I was the only one who was born in Ecuador. The rest were um, native speakers. So that's why I learned a lot of English with them. So and they were always correcting me. They corrected my pronunciation. I used to say it instead of saying play. I used to say play, and they say I don't understand what you pretend to say. So because you are saying play, I don't understand what you're saying. So since that moment, since that moment, I learned that pronunciation is a really important aspect, even when you speak to someone. Okay. In classes, pronunciation must be corrected at the moment. Okay, must be corrected as the in that moment. Must be corrected in that moment. If you forget to correct the pronunciation, if you if you correct the pronunciation after the students commit the mistake, they will be lost. Okay, you have to correct the mistake at this moment, at the moment that the mistake is happening. Okay, so
Okay.
that's why pronunciation is really important for me.
Okay. And what's your opinion about grammar developing using your class? Mm,
Aurea, could you repeat the question, please?
Okay. Do you use the grammar develop?
Sorry. Grammar development. Yes, I use a lot of, I use obviously. That's one, the most important one, the steps or grammar development is the way that children learn how to use the language. Okay, if you don't teach them grammar, obviously they are not going to know, they won't be able to know how to speak and use the correct tense. Okay, if they know, if imagine that if I don't teach grammar to my students, they are going to say, I don't know, they won't be able to speak in English because they don't know grammatical structures. Okay, they are going to say not correct, not correct words. Okay, it also includes punctuation development or the ability to correct punctuate reading sentences. Okay, but grammar, as you know, has a process. We learn grammar since the most basic one that includes personal pronouns, then you learn the present simple, You continue to present continuous, you continue to simple past. Okay, so the grammar in our educational system has a sequence. I
It's
don't know if you
progress.
have realized. Yes, it's progressive. You learn personal pronoun. You learn since the most basic grammar to the highest one. Okay, so grammar is really important because, as I told you before, they will have the chance to use it to communicate with the rest of people. So imagine that if someone, as if a native speaker is talking in present simple, or maybe the native speaker is telling you something that happened to him a couple of years ago. So obviously you will have to use the simple past, okay, or he will have to use the simple past to explain it to you, okay. So if you want to pretend to explain something that occurred the last year, for example, which tense you will have to use?
The past simple.
The simple past or past simple, okay. If you want to let someone know about your future plans, which tense you will use?
The future.
We are going to.
Future simple, future simple, so simple future, okay. We are going, okay. So you will have to know, or you have to know grammatical structures if you want to speak in English, okay. That's the truth, okay. If you don't know grammar, you will be lost. Okay, so if you pretend to let someone know about Yansasa, if you pretend to let someone know about, I don't know, Quito. Where are you from, Carla?
I'm from Quito.
Quito. Sophie, where are you from?
I live in Bato.
Ambato, okay. Right, if you want to let someone know about Ambato, okay, obviously you will have to use the present simple tense. Maybe if Carla wants to tell us something that happened to her 6 years ago, she will have to use the simple past. If Aurea wants to tell us something about what she pretends to do in the future, she will obviously have to use the future simple or future tense. Okay, so that's why grammar is really important, because if we pretend to communicate to someone, okay, or with someone, we will have to know, we will have to learn, in this case, how to apply the grammar properly, okay? So that's why grammar is really important, really important. But don't forget, vocabulary is one of the most important steps in your teaching, on your teaching, okay? Vocabulary, if you know vocabulary and the most of grammar parts, yes, you will be able to communicate to everyone, with everyone.
Okay, teacher. And what about translation skills development? Teacher, are you listening to me? Mm,
Okay, Aurea. Well, I use a lot of translation in my classes because, as I told you before, my students are always asking me, teacher, what is the meaning of this? What is the meaning of that? Okay, so I'm always using translation, and I think it's a valid option on teaching because if you don't use, if you are always saying every single word in English, okay, some of your students won't be able to understand what you're saying because remember, I don't know if you know it, all the students are different, okay? They don't learn at the same rhythm, okay? They are different. We are all different in this world, you know? Aurea likes rock music, Carla likes, I don't know, salsa, Sophie likes reggaeton. Okay, we are different. Okay, and our students are really are different as well. Okay, so some of your students will understand what you pretend to say or what you are saying, but other students won't understand a word. Okay, so that's why translation takes a really important part at the moment to teach English. You can translate them if only if it's necessary, but there are another ways, there are different ways to explain something, avoiding translation. Okay, you can avoid translation by using, for example, presentations, or can use you can avoid translation if you use optional ways of explaining something. Okay, for example, if someone of some of my one student one of my students asked me, teacher, what is the meaning of this? Okay, if you are capable, okay, if you know a lot of English as a teacher, because I know a lot of teachers that or who don't know a word in English, okay, they don't know where they are. So you will be able to explain this word, the word that your student is asking to you, okay. You will be able to let him know the meaning using real English, okay, and not only say, look at this picture, this is what you want to know. Okay, look at the picture. If my student says, teacher, what is the meaning of this? And they are showing me what is the meaning of galleta in English, and I use a picture and say a picture with a cookie and say, uh, can you see it? This is a cookie. Okay, now the thing here, okay, and the thing that I want to let you know is that you as teachers will have to be able to explain everything using English. Okay, that's the point of English. I don't well, I just said that when you pretend to teach English, you will have to use English in every step of your classes. Because if you explain it all using Spanish, the classes won't have sense. Understand? So you will have to be focused almost the whole time to teach them in English. English everywhere. If they want to go to the bathroom, please in English. No, teacher. Profe, se me manda al baño. Profe, ¿puedo ir al baño? Profe, mándeme al baño. Hablan hasta mal. profe, mándeme al baño. Okay, so you have to encourage them to ask something in English. Okay, you know, it doesn't matter if they use simple words, if they commit mistakes, then make mistakes, it doesn't matter if they do that. Okay, it's because it's normal. So the adequate person who's gonna correct that is you. Okay, you are the person, you are the people on charge to do that. Okay, so that is audio.
Okay, teacher, and a final ask. What are the model pedagogical that you use in summary?
Could you repeat the question, please, Aurea?
Okay, teacher, and what is the pedagogical model that you use in for
Está entrecortado, Aurea. No te puedo.
ah, excuse me.
¿Cuál es? Sí, sí.
What is the pedagogical model that you use for all the students that you teach? Are you listening to me?
Sale un poco entrecortado. Espérame un ratito para. Wait a moment, please. Okay, I'm gonna look for another. Okay, Audi.
Okay.
Pedagogical
Model.
model.
Okay.
Yeah.
What is the pedagogical model that you use with all the students in general?
Well, well, to be honest, I use the collaborative model because I'm always asking, or I'm always asking my students to cooperate, to work in pairs, to create a collaborative environment, okay, to engage my students working on pairs, on groups, in groups, okay, because that's really healthy to our classes. If they have your students working only in an individual way, okay, they will have the chance to learn, okay, or they will learn in a limited form. You know why? Because there's gonna be always someone who knows more than the rest. Okay, they there are students. Okay, I'm gonna say it in that way. There are students that are more that which who adapt themselves really well to a specific topics. Okay, some students learned social studies, for example, better than the other ones. Okay, some students adapted themselves better in math than the other ones. Okay, so what I'm trying to say is that the collaborative approach, the collaborative model will have your will give your students the chance to learn properly. Because if you sit one student to work alone, that student is gonna be all that's gonna ask you a lot during the class. Teacher, what is the meaning of this? Teacher, ¿cómo hago aquí? Teacher, what is the way how to develop this activity? Okay, but if you get your students working in pairs, for example, if one of your students doesn't know about what to do, the other one will know about what to do. Okay, so they will make a cooperative work. If one of them don't know, the other one will know. Okay, so that's why it's important to encourage our students to work in pairs, groups. Okay, because that way of teaching will increase the knowledge of your students. Okay, and that's it. Collaborative.
Okay, teacher, thank you so much.
You're welcome.
Well, that is that is the interview that we okay, that we participate. I would like to appreciate your collaboration for this work group. Thank you so much, teacher, and that's all. Thank you so much for your participation.
Okay, thanks to you for inviting me. It was really pleasant to be here, pleasant with you. Okay. Uh, Audi asked me to be interviewed. I don't know, yeah, at night, but I had a medical appointment at 8:30, so it was impossible for me. So if you want my cooperation, if you want that I help you with something, please just let me know. I will be ready. Okay, I will cooperate if you want to know something about how to teach English, if you want to learn something about a methodology or something like that. Okay, I'm your friend. So my name is Luis Fernando Rojas. I am English teacher, and thanks